This is not the most flattering angle, but uh, we only have one webcam in the house, and it's completely tangled up in my husband's craziness on his computer because he does the majority of the streaming and videos and stuff. So we're going to use my phone, and I don't have a tripod for it, so it's just leaning against my monitor here. So this is how I lost 60 pounds. And I think we have to go back a little bit to how I got to my highest weight, which was 241.8 pounds, which on someone who's a little over 5'2", yeah, that's quite a bit. I think it had me in the morbidly obese category, which, whatever. I have my issues with BMI as a measurement of weight or health, but whatever. So, in 2015, I did like a round of paleo, not anything super crazy or long or consistent. And I had started to walk a lot, and I think I got down to 210. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what my highest weight around that time had been. Nowhere close to the 240, but still in the 200s. And lo and behold, I got pregnant, and it was a really rough pregnancy. I was sick immediately. I couldn't keep anything other than like heavy carbs down, and even that was so I'd end up just laid out on the couch all day every day. And since I have PCOS, it doesn't take much for my body to gain weight, so I started to gain weight. The OBGYN that I had at the time was terrible, and told me that my hypermesis, that it doesn't exist after 16 weeks, and if I still felt sick, then I needed to stop eating fried chicken. Yeah. Never mind that I couldn't eat anything pretty much. Unfortunately, my water broke at 17 weeks, and while some pregnancies can be saved, her legs were already coming through my cervix, so we had to induce, and she was born August 24th, 2015. She lived for an hour and 40 minutes, and she passed away in our hands, which was quite traumatic. So after that, I put on weight, obviously. I think even the most stable person after that would have difficulty with not trying to find comfort in anything simple. And the most simple thing I could do for me and my husband was to cook. I'm a great cook, and that's one of the things that we did. So then again, finally, I started to come out of the fog of it all in December. Like, right, Christmas is pretty much when it felt like almost a literal wall or veil was lifted. And I started to sort of feel like a normal person again, not just a person in grief. And I started to tweak my diet a tiny bit, not too much. At that point, I was, I think I was 220, something around there. So I started to tweak my diet, and I got pregnant again on actually her due date. that is pretty much the cause of our beautiful rainbow baby is uh, a night of grief. Uh, so I had that pregnancy. I was still very sick, not as sick as I had been. I had a wonderful OB. At 13 weeks, I had a cervical stitch placed, McDonald's cerclage. I got a little sick, well, actually very sick towards the end of the pregnancy with a horrible virus, but otherwise it was an uneventful pregnancy, and thankfully we have our gorgeous, sort of crazy toddler, who was born in October of 2016. My body does this crazy thing where it forgets that it has PCOS immediately after I give birth. So the first couple of weeks between giving birth and before my first cycle, my body is like a normal human being, and I just like drop weight like crazy. So I think I was maybe like 230 or something when I gave birth, and right before my first cycle, I had gotten down to 213. Then the first cycle hits, and the weight piles on faster than ever before. Plus, I really wanted to breastfeed, and I had a breast reduction when I was in high school, senior year. So it's a lot of work, and being insulin resistant doesn't make matters any easier. So it was a struggle to breastfeed, but it was important to me. So the weight that I was gaining from trying to maintain my supply was worth it to me. It was hard though, and for whatever reason, well, no, not for whatever reason, I know why. Oatmeal is terrible if you have insulin resistance or if you're a diabetic. Please don't eat oatmeal if you have those things. And I was eating it like twice a day. But it was one of the few things that really actually helped build my supply. And I also did take a prescription medication for a while, and that certainly did not make matters any better. And I mean, the weight, I gained like 30 pounds in 2 months. It was ridiculous. So when my son was roughly 9 months or about to turn 9 months old, my supply started to dry up, and I was just feeling so horrible. From all the weight gain, it set my PCOS off terribly, and I was bleeding like 20 days out of the month. I had more days of bleeding than not, and I literally felt like I was dying. I had to take several naps a day. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel like a mom, like a good mother. It's always been important to me to do activities with my kids, to be engaged with them more than just sit around them. And all I could do at that point was just sit there. Going places was sort of limited because I felt so bad. I didn't want to do this anymore, and I was afraid that if something didn't change, that I was gonna die, because I had gotten severely anemic, and it was just bad. And there's this stigma still, when you're overweight and when you're Hispanic or biracial like I am, and it's sort of, for some reason, male doctors sort of expect it. They're like, oh, well, that happens. And they just tell you to lose weight. And they tell you, count your calories, move more, eat less, all that crap, which I'm sorry, if you have PCOS, it only works so far. For me, I've done pretty much every type of diet or calorie counting out there. And what would happen is I would lose 10 to 15 pounds, and then my body would hit a wall. And no matter what I did, I wouldn't lose anymore. And within a couple of weeks, I would start gaining. No matter how hard I worked, I would gain weight. And it's so hard to go through that and have someone tell you, well, you're just eating too much, maybe, or you don't know how to track properly. I'm sorry. I've been trying to lose weight since I was 14. I know how to track. So, my supply started to dry up, and a few friends of mine, online friends in various groups that I'm in, had started to talk about keto, and they were having really great success with it. And I really wanted to do it, but I was scared because I had a really bad gallbladder attack during my pregnancy and a little while after. And they tell you, well, it's fat that causes it. So I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have my gallbladder is just going to crawl out of my body if I do this diet. And I got to a point one day where I couldn't take it anymore. There was no part of me that wanted to continue. It wasn't depression. It wasn't, that I didn't care. I just physically could not anymore. So I decided, what the heck, let's do it. But I weaned myself slowly because I could not fathom being without carbs. So over the course of a month, I went to only one carby meal a day, and then I changed the type of carbs so it wasn't that same impact. So instead of white rice, I had brown rice. So I sort of went paleo to an extent. I cut out all added sugar, and I went from there. The first week of being keto, I got my period and it was terrible, and I did great the first 5 days and then had a weekend binge. But even with that binge, I still lost 4.5 pounds, which someone who has PCOS, losing 4.5 pounds with basically minimal effort, because I was really at that point walking for maybe 10 to 15 minutes at a time because that's how bad I felt. That was crazy to me. I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? So I kept going, and I'd say that second week I still did dirty keto. So I had half of an English muffin for breakfast, and then the rest of the day was straight keto. And then I think probably by the third week I was full keto, and then I didn't have any cheats for several months. And that was the best. I have to say that if you're starting out, don't cheat unless don't cheat. It's so much easier when you haven't cheated. You just keep going. Just keep going. So I started to drop weight that first month. I dropped 11 pounds, which I know that people my size at my starting weight drop more their first month, but prior to going full keto, I did cut down the added sugars and carbs. So I'd already lost 15 pounds just by doing that. So I didn't have a lot of that water retention that you have when you have a normal carb heavy diet. I still had some, obviously, but it wasn't to the same extent. So that 11-pound loss was still a great loss. And then it just continued from there. I lost the first 50 pounds. No, I'd say for the first 45 pounds with minimal effort. That's it, done. Next, it was just a matter of the passage of time, basically. Then I'd say the next 5 pounds was a struggle, but it still came off, so that's 50. Getting to the 60 pounds was rough. I had started to allow cheats and more of a dirty keto lifestyle, and it doesn't work for me. Not to the extent that I was doing it. But 60 pounds is still an amazing amount of progress. So I'd say it came off in the first like 8 or 9 months of keto. I've been keto for, oh my God, like a year and a half. I could have been at goal by now, but life, like it does, gets crazy, and I was not prepared for a lot of the things that happened over the summer and into September and October. I was very, very ill prepared for the turn that life took. Not anything within my tiny immediate, like not anything within my household. Within my household, everybody's good. But branching out, gotta love your family. But the good news is that it's a brand new year, and it's January 8th, and I have been strict keto for 8 days. I'm still losing like that holiday binge because I didn't worry about staying keto over Christmas. We just had what we had. So I went up to 185. I'm now down to 182.6. I do not expect to see a loss next weigh-in. I weigh in on Sundays because that's like the scheduled time for my period, and I literally can put on 9 pounds of water weight just that week. And I start to gain water weight quite a few days prior. Like I'm already starting to feel it in my hands, and my face looks a little puffier. So I'm not expecting loss, and that's fine. A few days after it disappears, I'll be good. So it's like not just the actual days of the period themselves. It's like 3 to 4 days prior, and then a day or two after. So it's a good chunk of time. But as soon as that chunk of time passes, we're good. So I'll expect to see a nice whoosh of weight a few days after that. So not this next weigh-in, but the weigh-in following should be decent. So in terms of exercise, all I did was really walk. I did some of the My Fitness Blender videos, but the majority of the exercise I'd say for the first 50 out of the 60, was just walking, more walking. My toddler from babyhood pretty much loved being in the stroller and going for walks. So that's what we did. And because he's an intense toddler, stubborn, strong-willed, fire. He is a dragon. The stroller is one of the things that kept him calm. So we went on 3-mile walks, whatever kept him happy. So that was pretty much it, and the Fitness Blender videos that I did inconsistently. So My plan for this new year is more walking / running because I do want to, or jogging. I do want to complete a 5K. That's one of my goals for the year. For me, I think it's just, for it to be sustainable, I can't have it be like a super strict thing. I can't say, okay, well, this day I have to eat this way, or, and it be that way every day of the week. I have some days where I want really high fat days. I have days where I want almost no fat in my meal. So for me, the goal is just to keep it under 20 net carbs. Don't go crazy, don't binge. Whatever I need to do to not binge. So if I need a higher fat day, then that's what I'm going to do. So I guess in a way it's sort of lazy keto, but I still track. And if I feel like I'm going a little overboard, I'll have a conversation with myself and let's stop here. But that's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of keto, is that there are 1,000 different ways and options to do things, and things evolve. So tomorrow I could decide I want to do super strict crazy macros, but we'll see how it goes. That's about it for this. Thank you. Bye.